And Nicky Wire from the Manic Street Preachers. I'd written my own introduction to you for the programme, but then somebody handed me this one, so I'm going to do this.
Oh, God.
Everyone knows all there is to know about Nicky Wire, lifelong Manic Street Preacher, Wales's first superhero rock star, hoovering house husband by day, dragged up stick insect base-wielding firebrand polemicist by night, winner of Brits of Brats, architect of records both critically and commercially successful, always outspoken, never outgunned. Ladies and gentlemen, Nicky Wire, a round of applause. How are you, fella? Now, you see, we took delivery of a James Dean Bradfield solo album, and then all of a sudden I find out today you're doing one as well.
Yeah, mine just exists in a kind of no space at the moment, you know.
Right, as opposed to MySpace.
It's at nospace.com, and it's just free. It's just given to people I kind of like and respect and that kind of idea. It might metamorphosize into something more.
How did it start? I mean, were you at home with the... I mean, do you get that fidgety feeling that, actually, you know, I'd quite like to make some music for myself as much as anything?
Yeah, I mean, I never stop writing. I mean, the album is more about the words than the... You know, I'm not the greatest guitar player and I'm a pretty average singer, so it's... But the words are good, you know. So if you're always being creative and you need an outlet...
Yeah, okay, so will we see it released, do we think?
I'm going to do some gigs and I'm just going to give them away and give it to fans and give it to people, and it's just, you know, it's unconventional.
It's a brilliant way forward.
It's like back in the day, Steve. Remember when indie was indie?
I'm just thinking. Sadly, somebody told me you can't get flexi disc press up anymore. Otherwise, you know, we could have been there.
I got a flexi disc with a lot of money.
Have you? Oh, probably one of yours.
Yeah.
There, our guest tonight is Nicky Wire. It's Hugh Stevens, who's Blaine Harrison will be reviewing the new releases after 6 o'clock. To take us up to the headlines, though, this is Echo and the Bunnymen. In Wales, start with a Welsh band. Although they're not here at the moment, I have to admit. They're off on the Enemy New Music Tour at the moment to promote this, which is the new single from The Automatic. The track is called Monster, and Nicky Wire, what did you think?
I knew you'd ask me first.
Sorry, you were closest.
I thought the lyrics were pretty interesting. I thought it was really overproduced. You know, it definitely had that kind of corporate indie wannabe Kaiser Chiefs kind of.
They're on the same label as the Kaiser Chiefs.
And it's just got those U2 guitars, and I have a real natural aversion to anything that sounds like a U2 guitar, you know. Big echo chamber. Dee, 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 dee.
Not going to go
but
for
apart from that, I thought it was all right.
Not going to go for that new key now.
Oh, dear.
I can tell you.
God. No, but, no, it was interesting. The single before this I really liked. It just seems like that's like the big record company, let's get the big single. Malarkey.
Hugh, what do you think?
I think this is the best thing they've done so far. It's the first thing I heard from The Automatic was this Monster tune, and that's been released as a single. I tend to agree that production-wise, I like it to be a little bit dirtier, you know. Production. It seems a little bit clean, and but I think it's a really good song. It's brilliant live as well. It's proper anthemic. And you were talking about the Kaiser Chiefs there, Nicky, and I just hope they don't get lost in all that, in all the Kaiser Chiefs-esque kind of bands that have. You know, cropped up since that band exploded.
I think they are a good band. They are a good band. I've heard loads of this stuff, and everyone says they're brilliant live. It's just that one, you know, we've all been through that kind of thing.
I was going to say, well, I mean, was there a temptation with the Manics when you first got into a big studio to be able to press every button you could, you know, because you probably started off in a little 8-track or something, and all of a sudden there's 48 tracks, we can use them all.
Completely, you know. Richey just went on the biggest drinking session, you know, for 8 weeks they'd ever been, and we just wasted about 250 grand. So, you know, it just happens, doesn't it? And I'm sure they'll come through. I'm sure the kids will like it anyway, you know. They probably wouldn't want me to like it.
You're right, that's right, that's a good point. Blaine?
Yeah, I liked it actually. Like, I don't know much about the band, and I've never seen them live, but I know some people who went to see them at the Cannon Crawl recently and said that was really amazing, and they're really good at working the crowd. And yeah, it's really dancey, and I don't think it's miles away from stuff around now. Like, it's not completely out on its own, but I think it's good, and I think it you know will do really well. It's got a nice a cappella breakdown in it and stuff, which is always a good recipe. Don't
answer me now, panel. Just have a think of this, because we're going to go and ask our studio audience what they thought of that track. But while we do that, just have a think. The Automatic, obviously, the bass player is the singer. Can you think of any bands, good bands, who've broken through? See, I knew you'd say that. Who've got a bass player as a singer, apart from Level 42? Have a think. In our studio audience, what's your name, fella?
Hamish.
Hamish, what did you think?
I thought it was okay. A few members of the local radio station here at Express very good friends of the Automatic, so we've got to give them a good mark for that.
Oh, you were saying it's a biased vote already. Vote for your local team. Yeah, absolutely. And but do they have a very strong local following?
I mean, ever since they've been starting to be unique, there's been a lot of hype surrounding them, especially locally. And they do have a very good reputation live, definitely.
And when they sign to a label, is there a case where, obviously in some local scenes, if one band signs to a major label, everyone else gets a bit jealous?
I guess so. I mean, they'll be cursing themselves in Cowbridge for not getting signed first, but who knows? Who knows?
In general, a quick hands up, who likes it? Yeah, pretty good. Okay, we'll take a mark from the studio audience in a second. We'll go round the table though. Marks out of 10. Nicky Wire for the Automatic.
Oh, I think 7.
7. Hugh Stevens.
Yeah, I give it 7 as well.
Okay, Blaine.
This is really unoriginal, but I'm going to give it a 7 as well.
777, the neighbour of the beast. And in the audience?
Just for a full house, I think 7 as well. The only thing I had a problem was with the shouty backing vocals, Funeral of a Friend-esque, and I didn't enjoy that.
Okay. All right, so we have the audience with us. We have our esteemed panel of guests, and we've got more music to come, including this, our next single. It will be the second single from the new album from Hope of the States, and this is called Sing It Out. It's new from Hope of the States, taken from the forthcoming album, which is called Left. Sam, in fact, from Hope of the States was a guest on Roundtable not so long ago. Hope of the States is out June the 5th. It's on Columbia Records. Sing It Out is the title of the track. Hugh Stevens, what do you think?
I really like that single, actually, from Hope of the States. I like their last album, Lost Riot, and it's just a really good indication of the new one as well. But I think they're one of those bands, you need to listen to it all rather than just one single. It is definitely a standout. So it's just one long chorus, isn't it, that song? And it's just totally anthemic, and I really like Sam's voice as well. I think he's got a really interesting voice, and
out of tune.
What's that?
Out of tune.
Out of tune? Do you reckon? It's like in hoary, isn't it?
I was about to say, some people have criticised Sam's voice. You're not off...
I love it. No,
yeah?
I've luckily had this album for about 5 months, and he was completely right. You know, the album is just amazing.
Band, definitely.
Yeah, and the tracks Blood Meridian, The Good Fight is just awesome.
Yeah.
There's some brilliant lyrics. I think he really tries his lyrics.
Yeah.
They got so many. I love them because they got so many ideas. You know, they're really fragile. Sometimes they seem to fall apart live. Can either be brilliant or awful, which I love that.
Do you think increasingly maybe they're a band that's sort of almost standalone? It becomes harder in a way because there's very few bands which are like Hope of the States around playing.
I don't think they've ever really been part of a scene as such. Like, it seemed to me when a lot of people were going for quite a sort of post-punky sound, it was a lot more post-rock. It was a lot more like Mogwai and things. And I think they were kind of definitely on their own. And also, they're not from London. I think they came from where was it, Chichester?
Chichester, yeah.
And so they kind of broke out in quite an interesting way. And I think this is quite a departure from their the stuff on the Lost Riots. It sounds to me like there's less effects in the guitars and stuff. It's more like you said, it's quite sort of anthemic all the way through. There's like, traditionally, I think a lot of their songs had those massive breakdowns, and it would just build and build and build, and violins and stuff. I didn't hear a lot of violin in that.
The rest of the album is much more like that, though.
Is it?
I mean, this is the kind of indie disco hit of the album. It's probably my least favourite, even though I still love it. I mean, the other tracks on the album are just, I think there's a line on that song, "I am the damage that a dream does," which is just, it just shows how much care he puts. It's very rare you can pick a line out, and the lyrics to that are fantastic. And the whole album, just great band.
Hope of the States, the new record. Let's go around to some of our audience. All you have to do is tell us your name and what you think.
Hi, I'm Kat. I hate to disagree with you, but I actually don't like his voice very much. But I think it's better in this song. It's less annoying than in the other one. I think it's Red, White and Blue. It's a bit better.
And have you seen the band live?
I haven't, no, so I can't comment on whether or not they're any better on stage.
But just in terms of in singles, you think this one is, is it too commercial and his voice is out of key? Is that what we're saying in the audience?
It's just a bit grating, kind of like fingernails on a blackboard. But it's less so in this song, so obviously he's toned it down for commercial use.
Anyone down the end who likes the Hope of the States records?
I'm afraid I too struggle with his vocals.
Do you?
Yeah, the lyrics again are a good aspect of the band, but vocals I struggle with. I also find that track in particular sounds a bit too like Placebo, which make of it what you will, but for me that's not quite my...
You see, I'm making of it that you don't like Placebo either.
I have a neighbour who likes to listen to Placebo at...
all hours?
Yeah. Excellent.
Good. Between you, give it a mark out of 10 then. What do you think down the end?
4.
4?
Sorry, that's hard.
Yeah,
4.5.
We'll call it 4.5. We'll split the difference from down the end. Blaine, give it a mark out of 10. Hope with the Soaps.
I'm going to give it a 7 because I like the band a lot, and I think they're really sticking with their thing. So.
Okay, Hugh.
I'll give it a familiar 7.
Okay, Nicky.
Well, I give the album 10, and I advise everyone to buy it, and I give the single 8.
Okay, that's brilliant. We'll add up the marks. Obviously, we'll have a winner before the end of the show at 7 o'clock, and we'll have something new from Nelly Furtado after this. Sun's out again in Cardiff. Back me up on this. It's almost tropical now, isn't it? Yes.
Yeah, just like this all the time in Cardiff, of course.
Of course it is, yeah. So we have the door open to the balcony. You may be able to hear trains and traffic in the background. It is Roundtable, though. It's Steve Lamont live backstage at Cardiff University reviewing the new releases for Roundtable. Nelly Furtado, Man Eater, is out on Geffen Records on June the 5th. Blaine, would you like to start?
I really like it. It reminds me a lot of MIA, like the production. I can't really think what hits she's had, Nelly Furtado. I'm ashamed to say.
I can sing them if you.
Yeah, because the one that goes.
Can we have a vote in the room before we actually ask you to sing?
Maybe we could have a full choir.
Yeah, we all want you to sing.
Is the one that goes turn off the light, and there's the one that goes I'm like a bird.
I'm like a bird.
You know the one.
That's better.
Yeah,
that's almost singing. So are we in favour down the end of the table? Then we quite like it. Blaine, you're up for this.
I think it's got quite a hard edge, which. Maybe might steer her out of the sort of top 20 territory, but maybe that's a good thing. Maybe on her third album, she's sort of, that's what it says here, her third album. I don't know how many albums she's done or anything like that, but it might be steering her into a more she's been working with Timbaland as well. It says, which I really like the sound of it. It's a really edgy production.
Just on cue, there's a train going by. Can you hear that in your headphones? Hugh Stevens.
I think it's not a particularly bad pop record, but I don't think it's brilliant either. I mean, it doesn't stand up to a previous pop hit. I think she's sadly destined to be played on the radio as the sort of female pop star. And I've liked what she's done in the past a little bit, and it's kind of, I wouldn't turn the radio off if an Nelly Furtado song came on. I think it just lacks a bit of creativity. I just don't think it goes anywhere. It's I was asking Nicky Wire who did that song Man Eater. It was Hall & Oates, wasn't it? And it's that whole thing, and it just doesn't really. I think it's what pop fans think gets played in hip-hop clubs, but it doesn't,
Yeah. It's not the only reason why we invited you, Nicky Wire, just for your in-depth knowledge of Hall & Oates, by the way. We are interested, obviously, in your opinions of of all the new releases. Nelly Furtado, that one for you?
Oh, that's just utter drivel. It's like a 4th division Gwen Stefani, isn't it? It's like Colchester to Tottenham or something.
No, yeah. I knew that was coming.
It's just woeful. It's the lyrics, if anyone bothered to listen to them, are just empty, vacuous drivel. Just useless. I'll give you my vote now. Naught.
Nothing from Nicky Wire. Can we top that from our audience who have kindly joined us? What do you think?
I thought it was a really bad Gwen Stefani Pink kind of record. Versus sort of sounded like a bad Lady Sovereign impression.
Yeah, well
didn't really go anywhere.
What's your name?
Matthew.
Matthew. And what do you like though? What sort of things are you into at the moment?
Anything. Nelly Furtado's first record. That was
good call. Anyone else down the end?
Hi. A change for the better, definitely, but that doesn't make it any better, as it were.
Right. So it's better, but it's not better.
I mean, it's good girly pop for the summer, I reckon. You'll have it playing out of car windows.
Okay.
But that's all I can say about it, really.
And if you can, Jax, who's working on the show, if you can just move across to Kat, because I did an interview with Kat earlier on. Kat, explain to us the survey which she was asking me about earlier on.
That's our student paper, which is Guy Reed, the supplement Quench. They're doing a top 50 artists, which was voted for by 3,000 students in this university.
Okay, I'm just going to stop you there, and I'm going to try and get the guests to guess who's in this top 10 out of the top 50. So how many? 3,000 students?
3,000 students, yes.
Out of the 3,000 students, who's the best or most influential group of all time? Who was number one?
Radiohead.
I was going to say Radiohead as well.
Manic Street Preacher.
If only.
And Kat, who was number one?
Number one was the Beatles, number two was Radiohead, Manics are in at 12.
Hey, solid.
Not bad at all. Give us some votes from the ends, either one of you, a mark out of 10.
I'm going to go with the previous 4, I think.
Okay, 4, Blaine?
I'm going to stick to to my 7. I quite like that number.
7. Nelly Furtado marks out of 10. Hugh.
3.
And a big fat nil from Nicky Wire. Thank you very much. We'll add that in. We'll fit one more track in before the news. I think this is new from Little Man Tate. This is a song, apparently, about sleeping with groupies. It's called What You Got? On this week's Roundtable, so... played that slightly early. It's the new single from Little Man Tates, and it's their first inside to B2 Records. It's called What You Got. And where shall we start? Hugh Stevens.
I think that it's a bit of a indie disco anthem. I think people could dance to that. I think I might even nod my head to that if it came on in the club. I am not a massive fan of the band. I haven't heard much of them, to be honest, but I'm not a big fan of this single, really. I think it's quite a fun record, though. It's entertaining once, but I think personally that's all I could stomach listening to it. Really, it just. I mean, they're a band. It says here that they got their yellow van nicked in York, and everything got lost, including their leads and plectrums. And they're the kind of band that on the next album, there's probably going to be a track called, and the lyrics are going to go, we had our van nicked in York. And, do you know what I mean? And they sing about themselves,
including our plectrum.
Exactly, and bands like Our Brute do it well and sing about the turmoil of being in an indie rock band. And then you got bands like Hope of the States and even the Mystery Jets who are here. Thinking about outside the box, really, you know?
And, Nicky Wire, as a lyrical specialist.
I just wish they'd had every piece of their equipment nicked and never got it back. It's just, I mean, why are you writing a song about a groupie on your first single? How tired and decadent and boring is that? And it's got the Arctic Monkeys, northern accents.
They are from Sheffield.
I know, but it's just... The bass is awful.
I can't help their accent.
As a bass player, I just despise the bass anyway, and it's just horrible, and it's murky, and it's just fast, and it's just there's so much good music being made in the world. I don't know why anyone would all listen to that. It's awful.
Blame?
Yeah, I think it's a bit derivative, to be honest. It sounded like the Lemonheads to me, actually, but he sings like Ricky Wilson, but I notice he's got kind of a permanent vibrato in his voice. It's kind of warbling the whole time, like.
It's like he's sitting in I was going to say sitting in a room with a bunch of musos tonight. The bass is no good. There's a permanent vibrato.
I actually think the bass line was all right. How it starts is quite.
I'm not putting you two. I'm just not going to put you two in the studio together. That's what I'm saying. Give us some marks out of 10, Nicky Wire.
-10.
Okay, that's a 0, I think. And Hugh?
4.
Blaine?
4.
And the audience down the end, do we think it's more than 5 or less than 5? Hands up for more than 5. No, I think we're going to call that about 3 by the looks of things. We'll add your marks up. We'll be back with more new music. In fact, the new single from an American band called Protocol after the news.
Digital radio on.
So it's by Protocol. You may remember this is one of the bands who guested when we were at South by Southwest in Austin, Texas. This is going to be their debut UK single. It's on Illicit Recordings. Protocol and Moving Forward. Not to be confused with Protocol with a C, who come from the UK. This is the American Protocol. And Blaine Harrison from Mystery Jets. Do you want to start?
Yeah. I thought it was okay. It reminds me a lot of Interpol and Editors. Which isn't a bad thing, but I think it. In fact, this specific song I think sounds a lot like The Rat by the Walkmen.
Oh yeah.
But not as good, I thought, because it's got this kind of harmonised guitar solo in the middle, which sounds a bit like The Darkness, which put me off a bit.
Was that almost a pantomime hissing in the background? Or was that the sharp intake of breath you get when a plumber comes round? Hugh Stevens.
Yeah, I once again, I don't particularly dislike it, but
Yes, you do.
It's like a disco Hope of the States, isn't it? With I mean, what they do is quite interesting, I think, but it just reminds me too much of The Bravery, which leads back to sort of New Order, and the ending sounds so much like The Cure. It's or The Cure. Yeah, it didn't really do much for me, I'm afraid.
See, actually, when you sit down talking to them, they were influenced by bands like Joy Division, The Sound, and The Chameleons. Do you remember any of those, Nicky Wire?
Yeah, I love The Chameleons. Can't hear any of it on there, but it's just all these bands who name check Joy Division. They never get the misery, the industry, the kind of the lyrical brilliance. They just say, oh, we'll have a name like Protocol, and we'll have a guitar that goes na 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 na, and it's just so much of it. Interpol I really love because I think they're serious about what they do. But that is just, it's just woeful. I just don't know. I'm sure the kids will love it and everything, but, the Walkman, a million times better. I agree with Blaine. You got bands like the Mystery Jets where you don't know what's coming next. With that, I could predict every single thing that was going to come next. Or here comes that, you can sing nay 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 nay.
You didn't know the Darkness guitar solo was coming.
To be honest, I think you're doing it. I'm not a huge fan of the Darkness, but you're doing them a severe disservice. That's like indie kids pretending to be rock. That is, it's just puny and limp-wristed rubbish.
Down the ends of the room, we have our guest audience. We're very privileged to have a bunch of people who've joined us for our audience tonight for Roundtable from the university. Who wants to go first? We can talk about protocol or Little Man Tate, doesn't matter.
I'll go. Hi.
What's your name?
Tim.
Hello, Tim.
And I thought that had the generic sort of double hit with a hi-hat and snare drum, which you find out in a lot of bands these days. So
we got another muso down there.
I didn't know that when I was 20. Yeah.
I prefer to listen to the editors personally.
So a bit derivative for you, was it?
Yeah, just a little bit. Little Man Tate as well. The bass line I liked, but it sort of reminded me a bit of Bandages by Hot Hot Heat.
Good song.
Yeah, that's what I thought. So that's why I kind of like that song. But
okay, we'll take one more, I think, from down the end of the room.
Alright.
What's your name, fella?
It's Adam, actually. Yeah.
Hello, Adam.
That Protocol one, it was very much editors and Interpol, and it was just. I do agree with the guitar solo. It was worse than the Darkness. It was Bill and Ted, in my opinion, just having a little run and mill. Someone was about to say excellent party on dude or something. It just wasn't for me. It was almost there, but wasn't.
Okay. I have to say that Protocol record is my favourite record on on tonight's programme, and I think it's going to get the lowest mark. Sorry. Even with your versions of Nelly Furtado, I had to stick with Protocol. If you could sing Protocol to me, maybe I'll change my number. In fact, don't do that. Let's take marks from the end of the room. Between you, boys, what are you going to give out of 10?
Protocol, probably about 4 for that.
Yeah, I'd go with 4 as well.
Okay, so it's 4 out of 10 from our studio audience. Back here, Nicky Wire out of 10.
How low can you go? I mean, this is why I got to, why everyone hated me for 10 years of Manic Preachers. It's just, it's desperate. Note.
Okay. Hugh?
I'll give it a 4.
And Blaine?
4.
Not everyone hated you.
No, you know what I mean. It was a good thing. It was a good thing.
I bet you like this next record. This is Paul Simon on Six Music. Change of style and pace. Paul Simon, and that's called Father and Daughter, out at the end of the month. On Warner Brothers, Nicky Wire, would you like to start with that?
It's a bit of a guilty pleasure for me, Simon Garfunkel, I have to admit. Yeah. I thought the production on that was gorgeous, lovely acoustic guitar, beautiful drums, really refreshing to hear something that's not de rigueur that you hear, from younger people. And
what about the lyrics?
I'm not, even though I've got a beautiful baby daughter, I'm not one for this father and daughter malarkey as a rule. There's a couple, I did like the line, like a postcard of a golden retriever, because I love golden retrievers. But generally, I thought it had a really nice feel to it, and I quite like the film that came, where I first did it, is The Wild Thornberrys. It's the best thing I've heard tonight, apart from up the States.
It's warm and cosy.
Yeah.
It's Paul Simon. Blaine?
Well, I think nice is quite a good way of describing it. It was just quite pleasant stuff, and I think if Eno produced it, I don't think it's one of the best things he's done in recent years. It felt a little bit easy for him. I usually think Eno, and I think sort of, he's kind of goes against the grain a little bit and messes things up. But it sounded a little bit easy, I think. But actually, I was thinking about how many songs have mathematical equations in the choruses. This has 1 + 1 = 2. I was trying to think of all the others.
3 is the magic number.
That's not an equation, exactly.
Well, statement.
Yeah, absolutely.
1 and 1 and 1 is 3 from the Beatles. There's lots.
It's strange, actually. There's a new band called Cajun Dance Party. Have you heard them?
I've heard of them.
Part of the Brentford scene. Yeah, apparently. Yeah. But they've got a 1 and 1 is 1 and 1 and 1 is 3 in one of their songs.
Oh, there you go.
Down the end of the room, let's go to our studio audience. Paul Simon. Does Paul Simon feature in the top 50 most important bands for students in Cardiff? No. Okay, that's all we need to know. Okay, who's going to go first? Paul Simon, down the end of the room.
I don't think he's going to be fortunate enough to have a Chevy Chase featuring on video for this one. I don't know, there's nothing really around at the moment kind of commercially to compare it with. I mean, like you've said, Loud is the kind of mainstream radio sound at the moment, so I don't think this is going to be a commercial hit.
Until we come back round to Quiet being the new loud, which it was a few years ago. Anyone else at the end of the room? Paul Simon.
I quite liked it. I thought it's like I said, it's nice and simple, and it's very summery and sort of harks back to the old days.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. Hugh Stevens?
I really like Paul Simon's voice. I think he's got a lovely voice. I went to see Simon and Garfunkel in Hyde Park last year, but only saw half the gig because my mates were in the pub eating fish and chips.
Which half did you see, Simon or Garfunkel?
Yeah. Boom. It was the greatest hits half, luckily. So no, it was really good, and I think it gets a bit repetitive towards the end, but it makes me want to listen to his album. When I get my hands on his album, I'm going to listen to it all.
Okay. Oh, no, it's a challenge. Give us a mark out of 10.
I'm going to give it a very pleasant 7 out of 10.
Nicky Wire?
Yeah, solid 7, definitely.
Blaine?
I'm going to give it 5 because I do love his voice. I think he's got one of the best voices of sort of his generation, but I don't like the song at all, so I'll give it a half.
That's fair. And studio audience?
Uninspiring 5.
Uninspiring 5. We have an album of the week, which is the new album, the debut, in fact, from Jack White's Raconteurs after this. From the debut album from the Raconteurs, Broken Boy Soldiers, Store-Bought Bones is the title of that track, and I think we'll actually start with our studio audience on this one. The Raconteurs, obviously the new projects with Brendan Benson in it, and also Jack White, which is why in some quarters they've been referred to as the Jackonteurs. Anyway, Raconteurs, any fans down the end of the room?
Yeah, I really like it. I really like Steady As She Goes.
Yeah.
And from what I heard there, it sounds really good. I mean, I like Brendan Benson and Jack White, so...
So this is a perfect combination then.
Exactly, yeah.
Fantastic. And what is it that you like about it? Is it the energy? Is it the sounds?
Yeah, it sounds like they're having a good time, to be honest, and the songs are quite catchy. I mean, I think it'd be a good listen, the whole album, so...
Has anyone on the panel heard it? Hugh Stevens, have you heard the Raconteurs album?
I haven't heard it all the way through, I'm afraid, but I've heard lots of bits of it, and I like what I've heard. I agree with you totally there. I think Steady As She Goes is a brilliant single, and I think they do pomp, and I think Jack White does the blues so well. They mix it all together, and I think his lyrics are funny as well, and there's a sort of timelessness to the whole thing off this album as well. I mean, you couldn't tell which year it's come from if it hadn't come out this year and it was a new release, you know?
Yeah. Nicky Wire?
Well, 1972, I think it was the year that it came from. I mean, I'm totally in a very, very small minority when it comes to Jack White, and I guess I'm afraid to say this because you'll probably beat me up. He's handy with his fists, the boy, isn't he? But, you know, it's decadent, it's lazy, it's lyrically empty, tiresome. I'm so bored with Detroit and all this endless, you know, oh, Detroit this, Detroit that. Get off my case. It's got John Lord keyboards. It tries to rip off the drum solo of Black Knight, but obviously he's totally incapable of doing it, and he just sounds like a really bad indie drummer doing it. You know, I'm just waiting for the pound-in from Jack, really.
Okay. Do you want us to pass on the address directly to him, or is he just...
But I mean, the kids love it. It's going to be the festival hit of the year, all those things. It doesn't matter what I think about it. It's just, if anyone remembers Beat Happening, who were like a proper first indie incarnation of what the White Stripes ended up being, then, you know, I really advise everyone to check Beat Happening out because they kept it real.
Blaine?
I'm a big fan of Brendan Benson and of Jack White. I'm not sure how much I like it, you know, their collaboration. I know they're really good friends and stuff, but I think I don't know. I think it's a better idea than it actually is in a physical way. I think I feel slightly lukewarm towards it.
Okay, give us a mark out of 10.
I'm like the album. I only heard we just had snatches of it, but I would say a 6.
Hugh?
I'm going to give it a 7.
And Nicky?
It just, for me, it says the debut gig was watched by Jude Law, Kate Moss, Jim Jarmusch did the video, Yeah's turned up.
That's 4, isn't it? That's 4 marks.
So that's kind of showbiz for code for it is shit.
Neil? 2,
whatever.
4.
Make it up. I'm going to be crucified. Oh, what does it matter anyway?
And in the audience?
7.
7 out of 10. We'll add those marks up. Nicky Wire, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for coming in, despite the cold.
Never again.
Well, you can come back any time, honestly. Hugh Stevens, thank you very much. We'll be seeing you hopefully out and about round Cardiff tonight. And Blaine, of course, we have to thank you twice, not only for coming in and doing this, but also for headlining our gig tonight, which will be fantastic. Mystery Jets, you'll be able to hear highlights of their Lamach in the City busy headlining show over the next few days on 6 Music. The winner today was the record we started the programme with. The Automatic got 28 points. I'd just like to say before we go, can the OB engineers and my guests give the audience a round of applause for coming in? Thank you very much. And that's it from us. Stay tuned. Craig Charles is now coming next with The Funk Show. We'll be back on Monday. Have a great weekend. We'll leave you with another track from the Rack on Turks. Broken Boy Soldier. Have a great weekend. It's all right.